right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for this post-game dance party. Uh, as the Kraken pick up that 5-1 win over the Buffalo Sabres. And thanks for joining us here on ECH's post-game live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. That was a phenomenal bounce back game for the Kraken. We all know how things went last time we were here, right? And we had to talk that one out in a brutal therapy session. But the Kraken bounced back incredibly tonight. Pick up their first 2 point win in Climate Pledge Arena for this season. That's awesome to see. Hackstall, shuffled some things a little bit from last game, bring in Daniel Sprong and Morgan Geeky, out go Wright and Donato. That worked beautifully as I believe each player finished with a goal and an assist. I know that's what they just had by the end of the first period. So obviously Hackstall, made the right call there. That's been something we've talked about. Defense looked much better. Everybody was playing a lot better. Kraken did a very good job of limiting mistakes. I'm sure we'll get on to all this as everybody gets in here. But yeah, I mean, that was just a solid win. They just took care of business against a Buffalo team that was on fire, right? Like they just swept through Western Canada like it was nothing, and then just completely were ground to a halt by the Kraken and by the Kraken's fourth line, which I think is going to be a big story and something that we'll talk about in this one. Got Patrick, eat those fishes. Totally. Aaron, nice to see you in here. Hunter, dance party. That's right. We are in a dance party. Gosh, I wish I still had the confetti. And Aaron with the I like Sprong. Yeah, I mean, again, the decision that Hackstall made for this one paid off beautifully. You get the guys in there who are maybe, I mean, I don't want to say that they're like hungry or whatever, but they're certainly fresher legs coming off the rough game that you had last time. Get a Daniel Sprong in there, get a Morgan Geeky in there. I mean, I know Geeky played last game, but now, centering that fourth line, playing with a Brandon Tanev. How about that sick backhand, sky pass to Geeky for the breakaway from Brandon Tanev for Geeky's goal, the second goal of the game on this one. That was pretty dope. So that fourth line obviously has chemistry. The top three lines all took care of business in their own way. Got McCann keeping his hot streak going with just a laser beam of a shot. I don't know about everybody else, but with that McCann goal, I could have sworn it hit the goaltender either like the bottom of the face mask or the chest protector and bounced away because it was just so in and out so fast, and it just seemed like the goaltender was there. Like you just couldn't track it real time. But just a phenomenal setup from Burakovsky. Just received the puck immediately, knew where he wanted to send it, tape to tape right to McCann, who was able to get the shot off. And like I said, just score with a laser beam. Wow, that goal was pretty. Michael, let's go. So glad to be wrong about tonight's game. Now 3-0 against the Buffalo Losers. Yeah, Sabres got nothing on us. I'll take it. Sabres and Panthers. Who would have known? SJ, I turned on the game late. They started playing badly, and I immediately turned it back off. You're welcome. Well, we thank you for your sacrifice, SJ. But yeah, I don't think it was you. I think they just got a little tired and a little worn out this one, and it's just like, I mean, I think all of us were probably. It seemed like the people in the arena too were just kind of like, all right, we could end now. Towards the end of that game, as everybody's just trying to skate it out. But it was just a phenomenal, it was a phenomenal game from the Kraken, just all the way through. They made very few mistakes. Discipline wasn't as big of a problem for them. Is there still stuff that can be cleaned up? Yes, of course there is, but this was a big step in the right direction, and it was just so nice to see them have a bounce back game. Nathan, time to give a little praise to Hackstall, Ducks and Hides. Yeah, I mean, I think he deserves it for this one. He made the right roster moves for this game. Bringing in Sprong, bringing in, Geeky onto the fourth line as Gord comes back in, leaving out Donato and Wright. I mean, I don't see how anyone could argue against it, considering how well those guys played. And, not only did they play well, they played well early to establish what this game was going to be for your team. And that is absolutely huge for the Seattle Kraken. As we all know, that's something that they struggle with quite often, actually. Kraken Hawk, can we get this version of the Kraken that's capable of holding on to leads and finishing the game? Thanks. Sincerely, Seattle. Right? Like, we just want consistency at some point. You just want consistency. But I think this is more indicative of what the Kraken can be. Like I said, when they're limiting mistakes, there was a couple turnovers in this one that were a little rough, but they were able to survive those. Martin Jones, especially earlier on in the game, made some big saves off of some rough turnovers or some defensive miscues. Yes, the one Buffalo goal, Cousins is just sitting behind the defense. Buffalo was treating it like a power play at that point just because everybody was so tired. That kind of stuff can still be worked on and cleaned up a little bit, but for the most part, the Kraken limited. I'm just going to say this all night, so just get ready to hear it, everybody. Kraken limited mistakes, and that's something that they didn't do against Chicago. They did it for this game, and look at the drastically different result, right? I mean, that Chicago game could have easily been 5-1 like this one if the Kraken weren't making so many mistakes. And so we saw what this team is capable of when they're not doing that, when they're playing disciplined and smart. Alex Jones continues to provide competent goaltending. Kraken hung in there despite some pretty clear mid-game management by the officials. Yes, there was definitely some of that. It happens in the NHL. The NHL is an entertainment business, and it's wants to try to put on the best game possible for all parties involved and for everybody watching at home. And now you've got the gambling element too. So you've got that kind of stuff. I don't, I'm not saying like the officials are like on the take or anything like that. So, but it's just when it comes to how the league wants to present itself, close games are better for it, right? That's just the way it is and the way it's always been. So, Striatic, for all the Daniel Sprong doubters, behold and weep. Yeah, I mean, he played a really good game. I am in there with those Daniel Sprong doubters. If you've been around for post game lives for a little while, going back to last season, you'll know me and Striatic going back and forth about Daniel Sprong. But I will give him props tonight. He had a couple plays that I think weren't all that great. He had a rough turnover in the offensive zone in the late first, I think. Might have been early second, but scored a really nice goal, got the assist on the other one. He played well. He played really, really well. He has worked. They talked about it. Forsland was talking about it during the broadcast. Daniel Sprong worked on being more of a 200-foot player, all that kind of good stuff. Definitely see that improvement from him. This is a different player than the player we were seeing last year. So I think Daniel Sprong, has won himself a little bit of a stay in the lineup for now, and he did it because he's earned it. Bottom line. Lindsay, let's go. Reporting happily from CPA. Vibes are good. Yeah, I'm sure they are from that one. Must have been a really fun game to be at for everybody who was there. Very jealous, as always. Walt, what a game. Makes you happy. We looked great. For sure. I mean, the Kraken looked really good in this one. There's just really nothing to really complain about or talk about in that way. We just did the deep dive yesterday asking the question. The title of it was, Are the Kraken good? This is one of those nights where you just say, yeah, they're very good. They're pretty darn good. So that's very good. Patrick, Hack's the best coach. I've never been disappointed. Yeah, I don't know if that's laced with some sarcasm or not. But like I said, he made good moves this game. The game plan was solid, got the team to play disciplined, got the defense to tighten up massively, made those roster moves. This was definitely a good game for Dave Axtell, that's for sure. Great bounce back. Love Borgie shoving Owen to the ice. Beniers over Power. Yes, I definitely think we can say Matty Beniers won the first battle between Beniers and Power. Definitely say that. Matty obviously getting that goal. I thought Power played a pretty good game. That might have been the best NHL game I've seen Owen Power play personally. That I haven't seen all of his games or anything, but I thought he played pretty good. That Borgen one on Power, that's something, if you go back to my scouting report on Owen Power from forever ago now, I talk about Owen Power is one of these guys. We talked about it a little bit with someone on the Kraken. Who was it? Just a little while ago. But the idea of just lowering your center of gravity when you're a tall player, if you're playing upright, it's really easy for guys to knock you over. And, Borgen is not a small man himself, but he's obviously been around the NHL a little bit longer, has learned that lesson, just got low on Owen Power, and there was nothing Power could do to stop what was going to happen at that point. And it was pretty fun to see. Jules, stuck at work. Yay, Kraken win. We'll watch game and podcast once I'm home. Woo, Krakens. Yes, Awesome. It was a really fun game, Jules. You should enjoy it. Good morning, Barbara. Yes, this has got to be a good way to wake up in the morning for sure. Kraken Hawk, great defense tonight for the Kraken. There were a few times tonight when the Kraken sticks were in the right spots to kill a lot of Sabres passes that could have given Buffalo good scoring shots. Yeah, there was. They made some really good plays. Alexiak, up and down game for him. Obviously gets that goal early on. Felt like the one goal against was kind of on him for not picking up Cousins, their net front, but it was definitely his best game of the year as far as reading passes in the defensive zone and the neutral zone and making plays on them, stepping up and making a play. I felt like his stick was far more active in this one than we've seen in the past. And again, when you've got the size of a Jamie Alexiak, your stick is that much longer than everybody else's. You can really use that to cut off, kind of create this dead zone for opposing teams' offenses when you're playing defensively. Of just, hey, you can't come into this because I can poke check it, or I can start engaging with you, I can stick lift you, right? All of those things. And so it was really nice to see Jamie Alexiak utilize that really excellent tool that he has in his tool chest that not every player has. So absolutely love that one. Night and day from last season. Love the offense from Four Horsemen. Isn't it? It's pretty sweet, right? That we can just kind of count on, three, maybe four goals a game now from the offense. If you're going to get a couple power play chances, probably going to convert one of those. It is night and day from last year, and that is just, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Just the differences in watching games, especially on the power play, right? Like we just, woo, it's so much nicer. You can breathe during them, right? You're not just sighing or waiting for it to end. Yeah, it's very nice. Medeiros, tonight's win was for me. That was a full 60 minutes. That's right. Everybody wish Medeiros a happy birthday. Definitely got the Kraken picked up the win for you, Medeiros. And you deserved it. Come on, we all know that. Very, very good. And happy birthday once more. Four Horsemen, can Dylan whiteboard the Kraken PK? Is it an aggressive 1-1-2 of sorts? That's a good question. You know what? Give me a little bit to go back and look at it and break it down, and I will try to put out a short tomorrow, like a YouTube short about it tomorrow. Just a quick little video. I think I can probably pull that together. And reminder for Terror of the Deep tier patrons, tomorrow night at 7 is going to be our first monthly prospect chat, where we're going to look at all of the Seattle Kraken prospects and how they're doing in all their various leagues around the world, how they're developing, all that stuff. Should be a fun time. So just wanted to remind everybody about that one. If you're on the Patreon, I'll send out a reminder email tomorrow morning. But thank you, Four Horsemen, for bringing that up. I'm actually going to, real quick, just so I don't forget tomorrow, I'm going to take a quick picture of the comment. So forgive me while I do that, everybody. There we go. All right, Alex, Buffalo did not have it tonight. It appeared. Not quite sure they are for real anyway, but glad to get the victory nonetheless. Right, you're getting that first, win at Climate Pledge Arena. You're picking up a W after a really rough game. That's all good. Buffalo, I think they're going to be better than they have been traditionally. I do like this group. I think they have energy. I think this is, you're picking them up at the tail end of a long road trip for them, right? Like they played really well on that road trip. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, all that stuff to go out there and kind of sweep your way through Western Canada the way they did. I think, you know, it's very possible that Buffalo was just a little out of gas for this one, and I'll take it, right? Like I'll take it. But I still think the Kraken played a phenomenal game regardless. I don't know that, that was the reason we won. I think that was the reason that Buffalo never really was able to fight back, is the bottom line. Rebecca, who needs confetti when you have Daniel Sprong? Yeah, it is true. Patrick, seriously, Sprong gets goals. Play him when he's played like this. There's no question. You definitely got to do that. Gary, for the love of Bowie, do not lose on Thursday. I know this has been a thing on Twitter I've been seeing. It's certainly been in the ECH Discord. Link to that in the Patreon, by the way, in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Nobody wants to be Vancouver's first win on Thursday. Nobody wants to. Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one too. I don't even really want to talk about it and potentially jinx anything. It's just I don't even want to mention it. Let's see. Four Horsemen, Maddie getting those points. That's right. He stayed on the goal, on the in the box score and everything. Let's see. Edward quietly slipping into the ECH post game stream chat to bask in the vibes. Yeah, it's a nice little excited dance party here. We've got as we get some more Sprong love there. Lindsay, they play better when I'm in the crowd. 6-1 at home, and the one loss was the Leafs, so it felt like a win to me. Okay, that has got to be the best, like, over a 5-game plus sample size, the best record I've heard any Kraken fan have for seeing this team play in person. I thought I was doing good because they are 3-2-1 when I'm watching the Kraken play live in a building, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty good considering how last year went and everything." But 6-1 is pretty incredible. I think, we might have to just, like, try to do some sort of, GoFundMe or something and try to get you season tickets just so you're there all the time, or maybe get the team to employ you just so you're always in the building. Kraken Hawk, do you think Francis held out a contract to fire up Sprong? If so, it was a great tactic. He was a stud tonight. No, I don't think that he did that intentionally. I think that it was, because again, it wasn't just Ron Francis. Anybody could have picked him up throughout the NHL, and nobody really wanted to. And so it comes back to Seattle on that tryout contract. Shows that the work he put in over the offseason and the work he was putting in during training camp paid off, that he was getting more responsible. He was playing more of a team style game. He could play the cycle and stuff that the Kraken wanted to play. He proved that to the team, earned his contract, and is back now. And yeah, he is a greatly improved all around player from what he was last year, and really from any point in his NHL career. We've always known he could score goals. That was the one thing that was never in doubt, was his shot and his ability to score goals. But playing defense, playing with his line mates, playing within some sort of structured system offensively, these were all things that were question marks for him. That, the bottom line is they're liabilities to a team. And so unless you're scoring mountains of goals, those liabilities offset the one asset he had. But he put in a lot of work. All the credit should go to him for that, for putting in the work, getting better, recognizing that if he wanted to continue a career in the NHL, that's what it was going to take. And here we are, and we're seeing the results of that. And the Kraken are just as much of benefiting from it just as much as he is, and that's really really cool to see. That's just a fun, cool story. Um, Now that's an adjustment hack. Well done. That's from Michael. I'm telling you, he read the situation right. He made nice moves after that Chicago game. Coop, I'm legitimately in love with Matty Beniers. In your face, Owen Power. That's right. Gigi finally shows positive signs of life. That's from Aaron. Yeah, Gigi had a phenomenal game. I think just, being in the lineup semi-regularly, it's just a huge deal. We talked, Hayden Fleury talked about that last season, and we talked about it a lot when Hayden Fleury talked about it. How many times can I mention talked about it in one sentence? But it's true. When you're in and out of the lineup, it's really hard to get a rhythm going, really hard to get, just yourself going, and kind of feel those good vibes, feel the energy, all of that stuff when you're just bouncing up and down from the press box to the locker room. So happy that, Geeky's figuring it out and feeling more comfortable and getting something going. Yeah, Four Horsemen echoing my sentiments about getting Lindsay season tickets. I'm telling you. Alex, Darlene's goal streak over 2. Yeah, did that end last game? Or is this the first game with no goal for Darlene? I thought it might have ended last game. But yeah, that was sick for him. Like, absolutely wild. I'm in one of the 2 ECH fantasy leagues. Darlene was anyway, as of a couple of days ago, second highest scoring fantasy player in fantasy hockey. Rasmus Dahlin behind Val Nichushkin. So absolutely wild to see that one. Patrick pointing out we're back at 500. That is true. I'm just gonna stop saying things there about it. George, gotta love Sprong, from eating sticks to eating fish. The man can do it all. That is very true. That was a rough holding of the stick penalty. I agreed with JT's assessment on the broadcast that if the puck doesn't come right back to him, probably don't call it. You just chalk it up to 2 guys, continuing some stuff after a play. But it's difficult in that situation where you've taken away the one tool a defender has, essentially, and to make life easier for yourself, the ref has to call that. And then just in general, I want to give a shout out to JT Brown. I thought he was phenomenal on the broadcast tonight. They were missing Eddie Olczyk, but I thought JT Brown, that might have been the best, color game from him that we've heard ever. I really think JT Brown, he sounded confident in there. His voice was strong. He was jumping right in to dissect plays and stuff. He was attacking those pauses Forsland was leaving from him, and that was really, really cool. I was really happy to see that, and I really enjoyed it. So big shout out to JT Brown for this one. Striatic. Teams need to stop giving McCann that look on the power play, but that will hopefully open up some other options. Well, again, we've said this for years, right? How come teams keep giving Ovechkin that look on the power play? It just happens. And I think because McCann is not just set up like, oh, at the face-off dot waiting for a one-timer, because he's playing up so, in like a corner essentially, that teams aren't used to looking for somebody, it's really hard to say, yes, I'm going to commit one of my 4 PKers to go slide up all the way to the corner of the point to cover Jared McCann, and then just know that you're leaving so much ice open for guys to either utilize with their skates or utilize with passing. I mean, the passing lanes that would then open up from, Schultz or Dunn or whoever is playing the points at that time down low are incredible by doing that. So no team can really afford to send somebody over to McCann just based on where he's playing. You just it would be a lot to ask of then the 3 other guys on your PK to try to win 4-on-3. It would be a lot to ask. So I don't know that we're ever going to see teams really totally try to address the McCann situation on the power play, other than just be aware. Maybe shift one of your guys to try to be in the passing lane a little bit more than they're used to. Try to take that away, kind of stagger your top 2 guys just a little bit. But like I said, other than that, I don't see things changing. And then he's got such a quick release. He can receive that. He's not set up for a one-timer, but he can receive that pass. He always takes a step or two too, and the goalie is able to get across, and that always worries me. But he's so accurate. He's able to consistently snipe it up over the corner, over the shoulder into the corner behind these netminders. So it's all working. He's feeling it. It's absolutely incredible to watch. Like I said, just straight up laser beam tonight. Oh, it was incredible. Greg, I hope Hackstall haters can admit and show some love when the team looks like this. They are all humans and aren't going to be perfect. As long as they show improvement, we need to be patient. Exactly. I absolutely love that from Greg. I don't really feel the need to add anything to it. I think you said it beautifully. But and it does seem like tonight people came out and are giving Hackstall some cred for what happened tonight. Scott, who are your 3 stars? That's right. We got to do studs and duds. Actually, I'm going to wait for RJ on that one. And if RJ's in here for a little bit and I haven't done studs and duds because I forget, please somebody remind me. But we'll do it then. Nathan, shout out to the coaching staff for getting that challenge on the Sabres disallowed power play goal. That was huge because it totally stops the Sabres dead as far as them trying to build up momentum, because I do feel like that momentum was there for the taking, given just all the situations involved and the way the Kraken were playing at the time. But it was a huge coach's challenge from Hackstall. Good on whoever's reviewing video upstairs and able to relay that message down to Hackstall to challenge it. I originally thought they were challenging whether or not Carson Soucy had played the puck when it was down below the goal line behind the net there. It looked like he might have poked at the puck with him, and I was with his stick as he was, kind of on his knees there. And I was wondering, is that reviewable? Would that be considered playing the puck enough? Because you've got that delayed penalty, and so I originally thought that's what the challenge was. But then what, offsides, and it was a good call. And that Buffalo player is going to hear it from his coaching staff tonight about being lazy coming back for the shift change there. You just, in this league, I don't know, I don't care how tired you are, you got to get back there for those. You just got to, because that was an absolute killer. Buffalo was ready to get back in that game with that goal. The fact you're still going to be on a power play afterwards, that was a true turning point, and didn't happen just because of that. So, just a good example for any young players out there, or anybody who has a young player in your house. Show them that play. Tell them that's why it's important to hustle even when you're tired. RJ is ready to join us, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on his loading screen and bring him in, and then we'll do our studs and duds. How about that?
All right, now you can hear me better.
All right. Where are we? Oh no, you can't see
Dylan,
it.
what did you do?
There we go.
There
We'll
we go.
just roll with that. I guess I sent the wrong file over from my laptop, the one where I cut out the spots for us to see, I guess. It must have gotten mixed up. Oh well, we'll roll with this for now. We still got our Queen Anne Beer Hall sponsorship up there on screen. Everybody knows the score of this game anyway. It was 5-1 Kraken, absolutely dominating the Buffalo.
All right, you cut out there for a second. Let's see.
Yeah.
All
Can
right,
you hear me
you
now?
back? Yes,
Yeah.
we're good.
All right. So your thoughts on the game, RJ?
I mean, it was a great response game, and this is something we've seen a couple times from the Kraken now. It seemed like after that Anaheim game to start the season, right? You go into the third with a 2-goal lead, and you blow it late, and it's this heartbreaking loss. And the next game in LA, again, you go right back into that same situation. 3-1, I mean, 2-goal lead going into the third, and you handle it perfectly. And I think same situation in this game. You go up 2-0 early. You look dominant against Chicago, blow it in, really bad fashion, and then right back in the same situation today. 2-0 lead early, looking dominant, but they handled it the right way. And I think they learned their lesson from kind of both of those really tough losses. And I think it's good to see that they're capable of it. Again, need to keep pushing that forward. But, at least, for tonight's sake, that was great, and so great to get the first home win of the season too. I've been waiting for this since Fan Appreciation Night last year, all that time ago. But Kraken have done it. They have their first home win this year. Got to see some fish yeeted, which was awesome, and the new fish as well. So great to see that.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic game. Gonna get to a super chat coming in from Duthan. We all love Sprong, but also a shout out for some great saves from Mar. Is that what people are doing now for Martin Jones in the building?
That's not what I heard. I don't know. I think people haven't kind of unified on a cheer there. I was thinking Jones, but
Okay.
maybe Martin would be good too.
All right, because that's what we're getting here in chat so far. So that's an interesting one there. All right, let's do studs and duds, RJ. I promised we'd do those when you joined. People were asking, so go ahead, give us your studs for tonight.
Studs for tonight. I mean, my first thought is like the entire fourth line. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
really pick just one. They were all working great as a unit. Morgan Geeky, Brandon Tanev, Daniel Sprong. What more can you say about their performance tonight? Just all over the puck whenever they were out there, and playing like guys, Geeky and Sprong anyway, who are in and out of the lineup and are fighting really hard to earn spots in the lineup, because you never know, the next game you could be out. And so I think huge performances from them. Martin Jones, as we mentioned, Martin Jones, some great saves. He wasn't super busy in this game, but he made timely saves when he had to. And again, that's huge. That's all you need, right? When you're playing this way, you just need a goalie to make those saves. A lot of pucks hit him in the chest, but that's because he's in the right position. And then let's see. I also, okay, third stud here. I'm going with the home crowd. They finally had something really to cheer for, and it wasn't entirely full tonight, as you'd maybe expect from a weekday game against the Sabres. But man, the fans that were here got loud, so that was great to see.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man. Well, we get to Sergeant Pickles here with the super chat. I only caught the third, so studs, many duds. Owen Power run up and got done up by Borgatron. Epic W, and happy birthday to Medeiros. Thank you, Sergeant Pickles, for stopping by for the super chat as always. All right, stud wise for me, I think yes, the entire fourth line, everybody played well there. Hackstall for putting that fourth line together, I think deserves some credit, and just for getting this team ready to go for this one. Right, they started off strong and they never let up, and then also for the coach's challenge that we were just talking about this before you joined in. That was a turning point moment in that game. You could tell Sabres were starting to build momentum, and that turnover of the goal call there stole it all the way from them. So that was big deal. So Hackstall is one of my studs for tonight. And then I had another one and I just completely lost it. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, while you're trying to think of
Terrible.
that, I'll echo your sentiment on Hackstall, and I kind of texted you about this
Yeah.
mid-game, but he came out of this looking fantastic. The decision to not have Shane Wright in the lineup again, and Ryan Donato too, questioned by many, but that fourth line, you could not have asked for more from them. And then also keeping the D pairs together, something that
Yes.
we would not have done. And they were solid defensively. That's the second fewest shots allowed in Kraken franchise history in a game. Passed with flying colors, that test.
Exactly. JT Brown's my other one on the broadcast, by the way. JT Brown was absolutely phenomenal on this broadcast. And so I know I said that earlier, everybody, but you got to listen to it again. Duds, I mean, there wasn't really a lot. Count Alexiak in the stud category too. Yeah, he had the Cousins like mess up, but he was active with his stick. He was reading passes from the Sabres, picking them off. I thought this was the best game Alexiak's played this season. Do you have any real duds in this one?
Not really. None that come to mind. I mean, it was really kind of a complete effort by everyone. I guess, I don't know. I can be really nitpicky and just be like Matty Beniers because he didn't meet up with Owen Power like during warmups at Center Ice because I wanted a picture of that. So there we go. Matty Beniers and Owen Power. That's the duds.
There we go.
During warmups only.
Yeah, I could get behind that. All right, so Ty talking about 13 different players recorded goals for the Kraken before tonight, and now we can add Sprong, the Big Rig, and Morgan Geekie. So it's 16 different players with goals so far this year for the Kraken, and then a follow-up with the assist. Yanni Gourde completes a point for every player who has touched the ice. Goaltenders excluded, obviously, in only 8 games. It took us only 8 games to get every skater who has skated for the Kraken so far this season to register a point, and 16 of them have goals. That's unbelievable, RJ. I could not have imagined that, a couple weeks ago even.
Right. Even then, I was saying, if you had told us last April that was going to be the case 8 games in, I'd be like, what kind of offseason did Ron Francis have here? But yeah, it's incredible. And as Kraken stats on Twitter pointed out too, they have 20 different skaters with a point. That's tied for the most in the NHL. It's that kind of crazy forward depth that they have, and it was certainly showcased tonight with how the fourth line did.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Got a couple more super chats here. We got Brian coming in. We love Tanev for so many reasons, from his energy to his speed and tenacity. I've seen enough. He's one of the best stretch passers on our team. That was a phenomenal backhand, just skies it, lands perfectly to hit Geekie in stride. Beautiful.
Yeah, now I can say it without hesitation. That was Geno Smith-esque. I don't think I have to worry about that anymore. Just the perfect touch on it. That's yes. Right. I'm saying that confidently now. But yeah, Brandon Tanev, master of the stretch pass. Who knew? Some great plays by him this season. I mean, just to see guys go. And I love Morgan Geekie's answer on that, by the way. I should share some of the stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, let us know.
But yeah, so Geekie was asked about. We didn't get Tanev, unfortunately, but Geekie was asked about, kind of, did you see him on that play? Did you see it coming? And he said, yeah, I did. I was actually calling for that. He yells at me all the time, so I figured I could yell at him back this once, and called for it, got the pass.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. We can hear more from things like I am curious to hear like what Hacksaw had to say after this one, but we got one more super chat here from Jeremiah, sports beard himself. RJ Dillon, hope you're healthy and happy. Glad to see the show flourishing. What do the Kraken do with Shane Wright? He's probably too good to play in the OHL, and he's not permitted to play with Coachella. So first off, happy to see you in here, Jeremiah. Glad to see you again. Hope you're happy and healthy as well. And thank you for the super chat. It is a tough one because we've talked about this fourth line a lot tonight, RJ, and how well they played and what a good move it was by Hackstall to set them up the way that he did. But that did come at the expense of Shane Wright being in the lineup.
It did, and it was something that, I was a little disappointed to see this morning just because, I saw Shane Wright after practice just working really hard with the coaches and, I think kind of through no fault of his own, just Hackstall wanted to get certain guys in the lineup, and we see why that was the case, and it was the right decision for tonight. But yeah, it's a difficult spot for him because it's a competitive roster when you have a team that has the most, individual point scorers in the NHL. That's a tough roster to crack on any given night. And as far as what they do with him, Hackstall was asked about this actually at the end of the presser. And, he basically said that, it's about, you want to get different guys in, and about putting them in good situations. And he said, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot there. I'm trying to go back through the answer, and there wasn't really anything, new or all that insightful there. He said, well, we got him a couple more minutes against Colorado. We got him into another game against Chicago. He's been playing. So, yeah, I think it's still a situation they've got to figure out. I feel like it's maybe a good problem to have, as a coach, when the guys competing with him for ice time are doing so well. But yeah, his development is something that they have to look at, because the other thing too is, with how healthy this forward group has been, talk about good problems to have. Like, you'd think by this time in the season, injuries might have cropped up a little bit more. That's more opportunity for guys. But aside from Jonas Donskoy, they've been pretty much completely healthy at forward. So that also limits spots. But you never know when that injury bug is going to strike, and all of a sudden, okay, Shane Wright's being pressed into some major minutes.
Exactly. It is an interesting one, but again, we're 8 games into the season now. 8 of 82. If my math is right, that's less than 10%. So, it's just a big if, I know. But you know what I mean? Like, it's still super, super early. But I do understand, people, I saw it on Twitter earlier tonight, the idea of, look, if they do decide, because he hasn't, come up to the 9-game mark yet, because he's been scratched for, a handful. If they do decide to send him back to Kingston, you've lost a lot of time of him being with that group, and he's going to have to go and get reacclimated there, reacclimated with his teammates, rebuild that chemistry there, and then that would all take time. And the next thing you know, he's really not hitting stride or really working on anything for his development until it's like December. You know what I mean? And so that is a concern, and I understand people having it, but I still think that this is something that come next April, we could totally be talking about, like, oh man, remember when we were all freaked out about that? Like, it was so long ago and everything worked out just fine, and we trusted Ron Francis's plan, and it was all good. But it's, I get that it's hard day to day as we're going through the early tough parts of it. Now, I guess the only thing I'd say is what I said. It's 8 of 82. A lot of time left. Like I said, season ends in April. Got a lot of time to get there. All right, so let's see. There's just been so many comments tonight, RJ. We've been up at 111, I think it was at the peak that we had.
Nice.
So lots of people in here to help celebrate that big win for the Kraken. Let's see. Sarah, I like to think of the guys on the team as dudes doing their day job. Sometimes they have bad days at work. Sometimes they have good days. I'm glad tonight was a good day at work. I mean, that's a very important mindset, I think, to have when it comes to professional athletes, of that, yes, this is their job. This is their day to day. And it's a brutal schedule, right? Like, they were just on the road and now they're back here after, one day off. And oh, by the way, on that day off, sometimes you've got practice and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's every single day, almost all year long, certainly for 10 solid months. It's an everyday thing. And then during those 2 months you're off, you still got to be staying in shape. And it's hard. We talked about this. I think I touched on it a tiny bit during the podcast, but nobody's at 100% for all 82, physically or mentally. It's impossible. And it's just one of those things that goes along with it.
Yeah, and it's something that you notice, especially kind of being around guys, being around the locker room and everything too. Guys, they're playing through stuff. I mean, we saw Jared McCann take an unfortunate, I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but he was kind of doubled over in pain for a little bit, came back. He's also had the mouth thing to deal with, and having to wear the bubble. Just, guys are playing through stuff, and it's a grind, that's for sure.
Yeah, and shout out to Brandon Tanev getting a tooth back. That was cool.
Yep, that was quick.
Get that worked on. See what I mean? You're in Chicago one day, the next day you got to go get a new tooth put in, and then you got to play another hockey game the night after that in Seattle. It's a lot for anybody.
Yeah, anyone try doing that in your job. It's not exactly
easy. Lindsay, in-arena stars were third star Martin Jones, second star Brandon Tanev, first star Daniel Sprong, just for our information. Awesome. See some people in here trying to get everybody to like chat. Thank you very much, especially like this one from Brian. Like the stream, you scallywags. Like in the language there. Very, very good. Let's see. Medeiros, I still haven't fully processed that we score on the power play like a regular team. I understand that sentiment after last year, but it looks really good.
Yeah, and it's something that you can just kind of have confidence in now. And even though the power play struggled a little bit last game, Hackstall was asked about it this morning, and he's like, "Look, our power play's been great all season. Like, I'm not worried
Mhm.
about it. They've just been great." And then again tonight, he said when he was asked about the power play, what worked tonight? It's like, "Well, look, the power play's been good all season. Like, it's the same things that's been working." Yeah, it's great to have that after last season. And I mean, all the different new additions just make such a big difference. That Burakovsky seam pass over to McCann, that's a pass that probably doesn't get made last season. You know,
Yep.
McCann was there, probably open, but nobody's there to make that pass to him. And now it happens, and it's a goal.
Right. We talked about that one a little bit. I am curious your opinion because the idea was floated like, hey, at some point our defense is going to start, accounting for McCann over there. My take on it was, given where he's at the ice, it would be really hard to kind of take one of your PKers and send them way off into the corner there to try to account for McCann. But I'd love to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think that is something that's difficult to do. And because he's left handed over on that side, it makes it even more difficult. It's not like you're trying to take away a one timer option where all you have to do is kind of get a stick in that lane because you know generally the wheelhouse the puck is going into. You have to worry about him skating in, doing a lot more with that puck. It doesn't have to be right in his wheelhouse. It can be kind of anywhere that he can grab that puck and then skate in with it. It's much more difficult to defend than a one timer option. And if you do bring a guy over there, you're leaving a lot of space for Andre Burakovsky on the other side, who is on his off wing. He can take a one timer. It's the kind of thing the Kraken can pretty easily adjust to.
Yeah, exactly. And then just want to touch on the second power play goal. We haven't talked about that one tonight. Matty Beniers, throw the puck at the crease and good things happen. Another
I
example.
loved that goal. I mean, I saw Comrie just a little bit off his angle, and Beniers just no hesitation throws it right at the net, banks it right off of him. I mean, that's a goal scorer's goal. I love the instincts there. You know that I'm a big fan of goals where you just throw it to the net.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd love to see it.
It was something the Kraken were also missing last year. I think it
That's true.
deserves to be talked about. Two other things here that I want to touch on. First one is from Sean. Yanni and Eberle caught whatever Donskoy had last year. Like, did they catch that? I mean, what's going on with them, you think, RJ? Is it just normal slump stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Yanni gets his first point this season, and yeah, I mean, still hasn't put a puck in the net. But I think we talked about this a little bit. I don't remember when, but that Yanni's probably being used in more defensive role this year. They
Mhm.
don't need him to contribute as much to scoring, and so he's been deployed differently than he was last season. And I think that's good, though. I mean, he's able to excel defensively. We know what he can do from his time in Tampa and all that as kind of that defensive 3C. So I think that's probably a big factor in that. And then Eberle, I mean, we know he's streaky. We saw he had a 20-game goalless streak last year. We know that he's kind of capable of that, but he's also, as soon as he gets the next one or the first one, he's just going to go off. A bunch of more goals are going to follow. We kind of know that at this point.
Yeah. I still think given the way he's playing, it's got to come soon. Like he's been getting shots in bunches. I'm just going to try to double check here. He had none tonight, but he had so many in that last game. The other thing that's standing out to me just because I have the game, the box score up here is the Kraken 33% face-off win percentage tonight. I think that might be a season low for them in a year where I'm still trying to think, have we ever been over 50% in a game yet?
There was one, I believe it was the St. Louis game. It was one of those
It's
games
one of them,
on the
yeah.
homestand. It was 52%. And I remember that because they're like, oh, we have one. So I think it's the one game. But I mean, when you play like this around it, it didn't seem to matter. But yeah, there are times where I think that needs to get cleaned up. I think of the first shift of the game where they take an icing immediately, and then they go into their own zone, and Wenberg's taking the face off, and whoever the Sabres player was gets kicked out of the draw. So you should be able to win that for sure then. And they lose the face off. The Sabres win it back and get a couple good chances there. So just little things like that. If they score on that first shift, it's a different game, I think. So
Well,
just something to clean up and something to work on.
I was just gonna say, have we seen them win an opening puck drop? Like that's a big thing for a team that struggles with starting games. Granted, these last two games have been different, but all through the beginning of the season, as we're talking about the Kraken always starting from behind, like maybe that all really starts from the moment the puck is first dropped and they have to work on the faceoffs. We haven't talked about it yet, but I did want to bring it up just because I do think that is one of the places that the Kraken still do need to work on. And it's one of those things that would keep them from being kind of next level or spending a decent amount of time above 500 if when that ever comes to be. So I just throwing that out there.
Well, I wonder what Geeky's numbers were tonight on the draw.
I can look it up.
Because his line did well. I don't want to, take too much time up, but if you can get that answer, I'm curious. Because if he did well, yeah, go ahead.
11%.
All right, never mind. Forget that whole theory. Scratch that.
That narrative's gone. All right. So yeah, that one.
On to the next one.
Great. All right. So this one's from Coop. Also, shout out to Burakovsky actually shooting on that 2-on-1. Didn't score, but at least he didn't force a pass like our team usually does. That is something, obviously that was a point of emphasis from Ron Francis. Talked about it last game and all that stuff. But I do feel like that's one of those things. Burakovsky, Bjorkstrand, some of the newer additions to the team, they don't have that kind of pass first mentality. And it's just like with the power play. I just sit there on the couch and I watch and I just go, wow, this is like awesome. It's all I ever dreamed of last year,
Yeah, it's great. I don't know. Maybe something about having Daniel Sprong in the lineup just like rubs off on everyone there as far as the shoot first, ask questions later mentality. Maybe that's just what I want to believe. That's the narrative I'm pushing now. But it was nice to see tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Where should we go now? Shoeshine's not hopping on the Hackstall thing. Nope, Hackstall still looks like garbage. The fact that the fourth line is our best line is not a good thing. So I saw that on Twitter as well. I mean, maybe it was from the same person. But I guess I can understand the logic there, right? If you're relying on your fourth line to get things going against the Buffalo Sabres for you and give you your first win at home, like on paper, if you just read that as a sentence, it's not great. But when you see that, really through all of these games, these last couple games, those top couple lines have been playing even with some really, really good teams, right? I think of the Colorado game, especially. They played really, really hard against a very, very good group there. It's okay to then rely on your depth to be the thing that puts you over the top and picks you up 2 points or gets you to overtime against the Blues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not like the other three lines were playing poorly, too. You look at that first period where they really kind of broke things open. Yes, the fourth line did have those 2 goals where they busted through, but it was just a dominant period all around. They were rolling all 4 lines, and all 4 lines were doing well. Just because the others weren't able to finish in that period or kind of later in that game at even strength doesn't mean that they weren't getting chances. They weren't creating power plays and doing some of the right things. And, yeah, you need different guys to step up every night. I think that's one of the hallmarks of a good team.
Right, and as Ty said, best line, fourth line doing well is depth, and that's something I agree with. I mean, that's the thing that how for the last however many years, right? We've talked about that when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning and playoff time. I know that's very different situation to what we're talking about with this, game 8 of a season. But the bottom line is, if you can count on your third, fourth lines to score for you and to win, the possession battle against their opponents. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna win hockey games. Like that is one of those things that will put you over the top and make you a playoff team. So I'm totally fine with it as long as the top lines are playing the way they are. If they start, playing really poorly and they're giving up massive chances going back the other way, that's when we can start talking about things. But for now, I think they're just fine. Patrick, RJ looks like he's in a weird rave with the lights from the ribbons. Yeah, they were really getting a workout still from celebrating that.
I know that the Kraken win banner just going all the way through for a long time.
Yes. Patrick, Turbo on the power kill looked to be doing a great job on the top, keeping them from being able to tee up a shot. We had someone else talk about wanting me to whiteboard the PK. What did you notice from the PK tonight, RJ?
I noticed that they seemed a little bit more aggressive, and that's something that I think the Kraken have fallen back on when the PK has struggled. We saw it back to last season where, the PK was just awful for a stretch, and Hackstall said, look, we made a decision. We're just going to get more aggressive, and we'll see how that goes. And it worked really well, and I thought Tanev, up top, did a really good job. It felt like the Sabres just couldn't get set up. Also, I think it helps that the Sabres power play was really predictable. They were just going to that Tage Thompson one-timer. They had one look they wanted, and that was it. And I think the Kraken did catch on to that. I caught on to it. And from that point on, the Sabres had nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one power play that looked good from the Sabres was really when they were 5-on-5 and they got their one goal. And they were just taking advantage of how tired the Kraken were. They caught, tired Kraken players out there and they were just kind of doing whatever they wanted, and it ultimately results in the goal. But that I think was the only time I even like thought, oh, this looks like a good power play, and it wasn't even a power play.
Yep.
So good there. Got a poem from Hunter, our first one of the season, I believe. Roses are red, violets are blue. Beniers is that guy, and you know it too.
I do know it. You can see it every game.
It is
Thank you for the
inarguable.
poem, Hunter.
Yes, definitely excited to have that back. Let's see as we enter the last 10 minutes here. Shoeshine, Shane on the fourth line is a bad lineup decision regardless. The choice shouldn't be fourth line or scratch. He should be second line wing for feeling him out. Your thoughts on that? The idea of shifting him to wing and feeling him out a little bit.
That's a tough question because it's something that I feel like I'm not really qualified to answer because I haven't looked very deeply at, kind of guys who are maybe natural centers moving to wing for a bit and the record of success versus failure on that. I mean, that'd be a good area for me to look at. But I just don't feel like I have enough information on that to give a good answer. I mean, do you have anything, Dylan?
Well, I was gonna say there's a couple like things to break this question down with, and I know it's kind of a bit of a downer topic to talk about after a night like tonight, but just because I see so much of it just around on social media and stuff, I think we should talk about it. And that's, a lot of times you'll see guys that were centers maybe in major junior and then they're moved to wing as they break into the NHL, but it's really because they're going to be wingers all along, right? There's like a million examples of those guys. When it comes to somebody like Shane, who is defensively responsible, he's a 200-foot player, and he's going to be a franchise center for you. I don't know that it's worth having him, kind of relearn the game a little bit or create different habits at the NHL level by playing him on the wing. That said, I totally understand the whole like get him minutes, don't have him on the fourth line. I said that 5 minutes after they drafted him on our draft night stream. Remember, RJ? I was like, hey, look, if he's just going to be your fourth line center, get him out of there because it's not worth it, right? Him playing those minutes is not going to help him develop. Now I've slightly shifted in that opinion over the course of the offseason, seeing him at development camp, seeing him through training camp in the preseason. I think that it is the smarter move to keep him up here with the Kraken. And that over the course of the year, he will get more minutes than fourth line minutes, but it is true. Like you can't develop being a scratch. Like it's just kind of impossible. And so the more often he's scratched, the harder the overall situation becomes. And you find yourself in the sticky situation we were talking about earlier about, do we send him back now? How does that work? Because now he's got to adjust to all that. You worry about hurting his confidence at that point too. Like if he's with the Kraken for like a whole calendar month, it's really hard to then say, hey, you're going back to, Kingston. So it's just a tough situation that we're all powerless in, and we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. And in the meantime, celebrate wins like tonight, where we hold the opposing team to only 16 shots on goal, and that's with them having 4 power plays. So how's that to try to pick things up after the little bit of a down?
There you go. Back to a positive note, because it should be after a game like this.
Yeah, for sure. Lots to talk about depth, and also huge shout out and thanks to everybody in here talking about how many people are in here and how everybody needs to be liking the stream on YouTube. Absolutely love seeing that, and I thanks everybody for helping us out and for just being such awesome fans and everything. Was that a bot that I saw? Sorry, I'm jumping through real quick because I thought I might have seen another bot in here. I wanted to get rid of it. No. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, everybody. Just wanted to make sure of that. Yeah, I mean, do you think how much of this game, RJ, do you think was maybe just also Buffalo running out of gas after that, kind of crazy Western Canadian swing they had?
I mean, I think that's part of it. They didn't look all that great in this game. They were kind of floundering around defensively, kind of the way the Kraken looked at times last game. It seemed saw a lot of things that were kind of familiar about that. I mean, you look at even the first Kraken goal, all 3 guys just follow Sprong down low once he gets that rebound, and then Alexiak's wide open up top. I mean, a lot of kind of misreads and things like that. So I think that's part of it. But again, that's what you want your team to do, is take advantage of that. I think the Blackhawks looked like that for most of last game, and the Kraken did not find ways to take advantage of it when they needed to. So yeah, I think it's part of it, but it's not any kind of cause for concern or any reason to take anything away from this effort.
Yeah. All right. Let's try to go some rapid fire stuff here to end this thing out, RJ. Patrick, do you know who got the Davy Jones hat?
I do not. I do not know yet.
It's got
Maybe
to be
that's on Twitter at this point.
It's got to be Sprong or Geeky, right? Do they do shared custody of it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that might be a good way to go. I mean, who's kind of like the gritty pick? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Tanner.
Yeah, Jeremiah, congratulations to Phil Kessel breaking the NHL Ironman streak and getting his 400th goal. That's a heck of a story from tonight for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, corn dogs in the press bridge, close enough.
every time. Let's see where we don't count out Donskoy. He was solid on the PK last year and still contributed with 20 assists, which was 6 overall on the team. That's from Gary. Yeah, I mean, at some point Donskoy will come back too. I mean, I know we were talking earlier, kind of the embarrassment of riches that they have at the moment at forward, but at some point he'll be coming back, and yeah, he's no slouch.
Yep.
Kraken are totally hanging in there in the standings. I think this win bumped them back up into a playoff spot, 3rd in the division. That's always cool to see. Let's see. I mean, do you have anything you want to talk about before the game against Vancouver, RJ?
I just think for the game against Vancouver, like, it's one of those where you really have to be wary of getting overconfident again. This is something the teams run into a lot. I think I texted you kind of during the game, just like, of course they look great tonight, and Hackstall comes out of it looking amazing. You kind of almost feel a loss against Vancouver coming. It's just the way that things have gone so far this season. I think it's another one of those moments to really kind of reverse the narrative from this season so far. I'm worried about it, honestly, Dylan. I'm sorry, but I'm scared.
I know. I think a lot of people are. I don't know. I think Vancouver looks so bad right now. I just getting a different feeling. I think it's going to be for the Kraken to decide, and I think that's always the place you want to be. Is you want it to be on you, right? Is there a chance that the game goes down the way the Blackhawks game did? Of course there is. We just saw it happen 2 days ago. But if the Kraken play like they played tonight, just in the sense that you're limiting turnovers, you're limiting where those turnovers do take place, right? Because every game's going to have some, but you're not just making some brutal ones right in front of Martin Jones or something. I think that's a very big deal. You limit, you play a little bit more disciplined, and maybe the game isn't so far gone that the refs are going to be a little bit more in a mood to call stuff on you, like maybe tonight was. I think as long as you work on those things, like you don't beat yourself, I think Seattle might be the better team right now, and that Seattle has all the momentum and they have everything going in their favor. So as long as the Kraken don't beat themselves, they should beat Vancouver, and I think that's a fantastic place to be, and that's a place you want to be in every night, really.
Yeah, and it was a place the Kraken really weren't in almost at all last season, just given kind of what the talent matchup was on paper, and it's just something they've got to get used to and learn how to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. It's new. It's a new feeling for us as fans, right? As a fan base, but doesn't mean it's scary, or it doesn't have to be scary. I think we should all enjoy it. Yeah, so we're coming up here on the hour mark. I think we'll go ahead and call it here. Chat was super busy and full tonight, everybody. Sorry, I couldn't even get to maybe a third of these. There was just so many comments tonight. But thank you so much, everybody, for showing up and celebrating, being such an awesome community, hanging out with each other, because I see all those comments in here too as I go through all the conversations that happen around it. It's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, thank you everyone for watching the stream. When I came back on and saw triple digits on there, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. So thanks everyone who joined us. I mean, you guys, you make this what it is, and it's so fun for us to do every single game.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, we were over 100 for most of this hour, just starting to tail off here as we get to the hour. So going to go ahead and call it there, everybody. Thanks so much. Love celebrating Kraken wins with everybody, especially a big one like tonight, 5-1. Thanks to Queen Anne Beer Hall for sponsoring this. There you go.
There you go. You got it.
There, right there. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this. And then just another reminder for anybody, Terror the Deep Tier patrons on Patreon. Tomorrow night is that first prospect live stream at 7 o'clock. I'll send out a reminder tomorrow morning for you all. Thanks everybody for this one. Go back at it on Thursday against Vancouver. All these questions will be answered. See you all next time.